Welcome back, you no good bastards, to the Pod Deep podcast. Be very quiet. Kick back. Listen up. Subscribe, comment, and like. Pod Deep podcast. Pod Deep.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pod Deep podcast. It's just myself, Hughes, and Jay. This is the Freestyle edition, episode 31, and we would like for you all to subscribe, share, comment, just tell a friend. And right now, today is February the 2nd, second day of Black History Month. I would say every kind of city in America right now, we're dealing with the snowstorm. And so right now here in Dallas, we have ice and snow going on. Everything is freezing temperatures. And we really don't get road treatment for our streets here in Dallas. Things are different in Missouri, where I'm from. So I want to ask Jared a couple of questions about snow treatment and snow plowing and stuff like that, and get this kicked off. So tell me about your adventures, not adventures, but tell me about your snow plowing.
Okay, so I have a small landscaping company where I offered snow plowing, and I had a commercial contract with a local healthcare business. It's a rehab.
Okay.
And I had a contract. I did in the summer times. I did their mowing and trimming their hair, like their hedges and like spraying weeds, stuff like that. But then at a certain point, I picked up their winter snow plowing contracts. I don't know what happened. I think somebody quit. On the commercial contracting, it happens all the time where you'll have a contract, and the businesses, what they're doing every year is they're looking at their contracts and they're trying to figure out how to save money. So there's not a lot of loyalty in the game. So you have to be careful how much you invest in your equipment to handle these contracts, because the next year the contract could be gone, or you have to negotiate like longer term contracts instead of doing 1 year contracts. You want to try to lock them in for 2 or 3 years. That way you can invest in your business to handle the business and know that you're going to possibly make your money back. Okay. But so I picked up the snow contracts, which I really didn't want to do it at first because I didn't have any experience doing it. But sometimes you got to go outside of your comfort zone, right, if you want to grow. So I picked up the contracts. I think I started off with 2 parking lots, one in North County, and then one was in the city off Delmar. And I did not have a 4x4 truck. So what I started off doing was, these were like, contractors know you count how big a parking lot is by the square footage or by the number of parking spaces. So the first one in North County was probably 15 to 20 parking spaces.
Okay.
It was a medium-sized parking lot. I started off doing these parking lots by hand with a push plow. They were too big, really, technically, to be doing with a push plow. But in a push plow, it's just it looks like a big snow shovel with wheels at the bottom with a big handle, and you just do exactly how it sounds. You push the plow to push the snow. You get out of your truck, your car, whatever, and you pushing the plow. It's a cheap way to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second parking lot in Delmar was smaller. It was like a little box. I don't know the square footage, but it was smaller. That was probably another 15 parking spaces, but just a smaller area to do than the one in North County. And I did that one by pushing the push plow also. I used the push plow because I didn't want to buy a 4x4 truck and a plow. I probably didn't even have time to get that done in time to be ready for the winter anyway. So I had to do what I had to do.
Okay.
Eventually, I moved to getting a commercial snowblower, 28-inch Honda snowblower. It was a real good snowblower. Honda is one of the most reliable. They make one of the most reliable engines, small engines when it comes to like lawnmowers and just lawn equipment. You want to kind of you can count on Honda engines. So that's why when you pay a little more for Honda products, but they are reliable. They start and run when you need to run.
Okay.
So I moved up to a 28-inch commercial snowblower. Same thing though. That's you got to get out of your truck and blow the snow basically. So it's just picture me out by myself, and I'm doing this by myself. Sometimes my son helped me. Like if we got a real bad storm, I would call my son to help me.
Okay.
But most of the time, it was just me. I could be out at 1 a.m. and with that snowblower out by myself, on the parking lot, blowing snow, throwing salt on these parking lots. So I did that for about a year or two, at least 2 years. Stacked up my money. The businesses don't know that I'm doing this stuff by hand. They assume that I have a plow. So they're paying me. I'm charging them plow money. I'm charging them as if I have a plow, but I'm doing it by hand, which I'm doing it cheaper by doing it by hand because I didn't need to buy a new truck. I didn't need to spend $4 or $5 grand on a plow. I spent $100 on that push plow. And then I moved up to that commercial snowblower that was like $2,800. But by the time I bought that commercial snowblower, I had already made the money to cover it by pushing, the push plow.
Okay.
So I did that for 2 years. Then I'm saying, I'm sick of that now. It's below zero. It's 1 a.m. I'm out by myself. I need to make it easier for myself. My whole goal was to work my way up to a snowplow truck anyway.
Okay.
But I like reliable stuff, so I don't want to buy a used, beat up truck that when it snows that I can't count on it, it breaks down, or I'm out plowing by myself in the early morning or late at night, and the truck breaks down. So I bought a new truck, a new plow, installed the plow myself, and like that next winter, I picked up I picked up a third parking lot. I don't think it was 4. It was a third parking lot on the south side. So now I need a 4x4 truck to get, from point A to point B. Because if it's snowing, I can't be out in a rear wheel drive truck slipping and sliding like everybody else. I needed something reliable so I can get to the location.
That's a fact.
So I picked up, they gave me another property on the south side, which I was doing that one by hand also before I got the plow, I believe. And I did that for a season. I made good money for that season. Yeah, that was it. So I self-taught. I taught myself how to plow. Watching YouTube videos, you learn where you have to figure out where to push your snow to. You want to push it to a place where when it starts melting, it runs off into like a drain if possible. You don't want it to start melting and refreeze right where people need to walk into the building. You also have to worry about people slipping and falling. If you push the snow like close to an entrance to a building and it starts melting like the next day, you have to worry about somebody walking through that ice and falling and you getting sued. All this stuff you have to think about. You have to figure out how you're going to price your services. Are you going to charge by the hour? Some people charge by the inch. So if it snows 1 to 2 inches, I charge this amount. If it snows 3 to 4 inches, I charge this amount. 4 inches or higher, I charge this amount. That's how I did mine, based on the inches that it snowed. And then if you have an issue, if somebody questions what you're billing them later, you can go back to the weather reports and look it up and say, okay, on this day I plowed, it snowed 2 inches, so I charge you this amount. Or on this day it snowed 4 inches. We got 4 inches of snow, so this is why I charge you this amount. So basically, you have something to go back and prove why you charge somebody what you charge.
Do they give you feedback? Do they ask you to come back out here to redo a parking lot or something like that? Is that a case, or is that another charge if they're requesting, like, hey, we got here in the morning and this parking lot was covered in snow and ice?
Okay, that's a good question. When you get those kind of calls, you messed up. It doesn't even mean that you messed up. Sometimes the weather just comes in funny. Like
Mhm.
the weather could come in as rain first. You can't plow or put salt down when it's raining. The rain will just wash it away. So you have to wait.
Okay. Okay.
So if the snow starts coming down at 4 a.m. and I need to be North County, City, then South Side, somebody might get missed, along
Mhm.
that chain.
Okay.
So I may start on the South Side first, my furthest location. I may start on the South Side and work that parking lot, then go to the city, work that parking lot. And I'm on my way to North County. Then I get a call, hey, we made it to work and the parking lot is not cleared. But it could happen. I'm one person. The weather came in funny. I'm on my way to you. Just
Mhm.
kind of explain it. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm on my way. And you show up and do your thing. You just have to not let that happen too much. You don't want any calls from anybody. You just want to do the work, make sure it's clear when they show up to work, and when they leave work, make sure they can get out of the parking lot. So basically, you want to avoid any calls. But for me, if I service your parking lot at say
Mhm.
like 8 a.m., it snowed at 8 a.m., I show up, I service you, I clear the snow, I salted it. If it snows again at 5 o'clock and I come back, I'm charging you again.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Some people charge per storm. Some people
Mm.
charge per visit.
Mhm.
I charge, I like to get per visit because, I'm burning gas and spending time clearing that parking lot, you know, and if I have to come at 8, I do my thing, clear it and leave. If it snows again, that's a whole nother visit. It's like you showing up for a haircut at 8 o'clock and you come back at 5 o'clock for another haircut. That's another charge.
Okay, good point. Good point. So, how did you time, like, when you're gonna be plowing 3 parking lots and the snow is hitting 4 in the morning? Is your goal to get out there and make sure all that snow is out there so that you can, put the ice down then plow it? I mean, the salt down and plow it, or were you trying to be out there whenever it first hit the ground?
Okay. It depends on how this storm is coming in. If it's coming in as straight snow, you probably want to pre-treat it with salt.
Okay.
So as the snow is coming down, it's melting. The
Hmm.
first wave of snow, if it's light snow, it'll melt. If you get heavy snow, no amount of salt you wasting salt. If it's a heavy snow and you put salt down, it's just gonna cover the salt. The salt won't do anything. But if it's a light snow, you can put salt down. That'll buy you some time. So if I pre-treat everything and we get a light snow, that means the south side will probably be okay for a couple hours. That salt will melt that snow so I can focus on North County,
Hmm.
clear that, clear the city, and then make my way down south. Also, man, you are like a weather reporter or meteorologist when you're dealing with snow. You have to look at the weather reports. You have to see if the weather is coming in from the south. If it's coming in from the south, I probably
Hmm.
want to focus on the south side.
Okay.
If it's coming in from the north or the west, I want to focus on the city and St. Louis County or the North County first. So you have to figure out how the weather is coming in, what time is coming in, what type of weather, the temperature. The temperature also dictates what type of salt you use. So we don't just use just straight salt. Just
Hmm.
straight salt stops working at a certain temperature.
Really?
So once you drop below a certain temperature, straight salt won't do anything. It won't melt anything.
Okay.
So then you have to go down. You have to go up. It's not down because it costs more. It's called calcium chloride. Calcium chloride melts at a lower temperature, but it's more expensive. I'll give you an example. I can get a bag of salt, like a 50-pound bag of salt, let's say for $5. But
Okay.
a 50-pound bag of calcium chloride costs about $20.
Damn. That's a big
So
price difference.
that's a big difference. Yeah. So, and I have to eat that cost. I can't. charge. Some people do charge, like the businesses. They'll charge the business more when they use calcium chloride, but you kind of getting into like a petty area when you start doing that.
But how do you know if the weather changes on you? If you've already given your price with just using a regular salt, and then the temperature drops like that, you know?
Yeah, you have to factor that in
Okay.
to your prices.
Okay.
Like you won't always have to use calcium chloride. It's just when you get ice and super low temperatures. So
Mm,
if you live in a climate where it's constantly like below zero,
hmm.
when you bid on these jobs, I guess you probably just want to bid on based on using calcium chloride. But
Okay.
if you like or in the South or the Midwest, you can probably just bid based on using salt. You're really not going to use calcium chloride all the time. Also, calcium chloride, it goes a long way. So you may throw a whole 50-pound bag of salt down to melt an area. But
Hmm.
with calcium chloride, you may only need 2 handfuls of calcium chloride because it works so well. So you're not really using that whole bag,
Oh, okay.
if that makes sense. It's so potent and it works so well. You're not using that whole 20-pound bag. You may put your salt down and just mix it in with the calcium chloride. That's what
Mm.
St. Louis County does. They put calcium chloride on top of their salt, liquid calcium chloride on top of their salt to make the salt more effective.
Is that the blue looking liquor that comes out?
That's it.
Okay, I've seen it.
Calcium
I've seen
chloride
it in
is
the truck.
clear, but it makes that salt look blue when it
Yeah.
mixes together.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's what that is.
go back. How did you for the viewers and the listeners and young men and women that want to get off into something like that as a side hustle? How did you bid for your contracts, and how did you just approach the building or the parking lot owners? How did you go about doing that?
Okay, there are 2 ways.
Hmm.
The best way is knowing somebody. Now, that's
Okay.
how I got in, knowing somebody.
Okay.
If you, it's about relationships and connections. You hear
Okay.
people saying it all the time, how important it is, and is really important. Now you can get lucky. I can
Hmm.
take you one step. I'll answer that question, but I'll take you one step deeper from
Okay.
how I see things. So it's about connections. You can uh, in landscaping, there are like state websites where you can just submit bids to different municipalities and local governments. They are by law they have to make their jobs public, so they have to take in bids from the public. So you can bid on different jobs, and what happens is most times they'll take the lowest bid.
Okay.
So if you come in at the lowest bid, I see it all the time. If you come in at the lowest bid and you have the proper insurance and you can pull the proper permits and you have the proper equipment, um, and you don't owe any taxes, your business is in good standing, you'll probably get the contract. So you can go that way. You can just submit bids. Like if a what do you call that? A strip mall. If a strip mall is being built in your area, you can just contact those businesses and say, "Hey, I do snow removal. Or you accepting bids?" And they'll tell you yes or no. If they are, they'll tell you who to submit the bid to, and
Okay.
you figure out how much you want to bid and submit the bid. And if you get lucky, you get the job. But for me, I got my commercial contracts through the person who basically was in charge of approving the contractors. So she would get the bids in and say, "Okay, I select you, I select you, I select you." So this person um, told me about these jobs. She told me about the landscaping part first. I submitted my bids. I came in too high. They selected someone else. The
Hmm.
next year that someone else retired, she called me back up and said, "Hey, do you want these jobs?" I said, "Yep, I'll take them for whatever the price he was doing it at. I'll take it." Because a lot of times you can outbid the job.
Hmm.
Basically, you're asking for too much money and they just go with somebody else. And you'd be like, "Damn, I should have lowered my bid." So that's what I did. I said, I just wanted to get my foot in the door. So whatever he did it for, and he underbid the job. He was charging he was a guy who had retired from his job. So he was just doing it on the side. So it
Hmm.
seemed like his prices were not in line with somebody who was really taking it seriously.
Right.
Basically, he bid too low, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get my foot in the door. It was steady money. It's money you don't have to chase down. It's you submit your invoice at the end of the month and they write you a check. You don't have to go back and forth about the amount. You don't have to chase anybody down. It's just steady money, every month. So I just said, I'll do it for whatever he was charging. She showed me what he was charging. I saw it was low. It was good enough for me. So I just took it.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it was just knowing somebody.
So you mentioned having proper insurance. What type of insurance do you need to get your company off the ground, like as a plow service company?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you everything 2 ways.
Okay.
You want to have liability insurance.
Okay.
If you're doing commercial contracts, they're going to tell you how much insurance you need based on their property. If it's a bigger business, you need more insurance. So they may say you need $1 million policy. You cannot let these amounts scare you, because $1 million sounds scary, but it's really $1 million policy may cost you $100 or less per month.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to weigh that $100 you need to spend to get this insurance policy against how much you're going to make. So if you're making $1,000 per month and you need this $100 policy, is really not a problem. You know what I'm saying? So you have to shop around, just like you shop around for car insurance. You have to shop around for liability insurance. You can get this through Geico, through Progressive, through any insurance company.
So it's just a matter of making a phone call to make that adjustment, and then just proving it to the business that, okay, you're right. I started off with 100,000, but you said I need $1 million. So I just made the phone call and took the policy up to $1 million. Here's the proof right here.
Yeah, just like car insurance. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Just like you lower and raise your car insurance coverage. Same thing. So you print out proof of insurance and you show them, hey, I have the insurance. They say, cool. You have the contract, sign the contract. This is how much we're going to pay you. This is the service that you're going to provide. This is how long you're going to provide the service. Basic contract.
So let me ask you another question. So did you have to start off with a brand new truck, or could you have started with a used truck, or was this your personal preference?
I could have started with the used truck. For me, I was already doing landscaping. I already had a used truck, so I already know the used truck game, and I work on my own truck. So I already know when my truck breaks down, I can't work. So that time I should be out working. I'm like up under the truck trying to find parts, put parts on the truck, and then I lost a day or two. Then you're behind schedule. Then you have to catch up. So when you first starting out, if you can afford it, you want to go. If you can afford it, and if it makes sense for you, you probably want to go new. But if it's just something, I'm sorry.
What you recommend truck wise? What do you recommend the best winter truck?
The best winter truck
for about
for snow plowing. A lot of people run Ford trucks. They like Ford trucks. Where I work at now, everything is Ford. They seem okay, but I'm not a Ford person. But a lot of people who plow, when you see a lot of plow trucks, a lot of them are Ford trucks. They are good for plowing trucks, but I'm a little different. My truck was going to be a plow. It's not just a plow truck. It's my personal truck also.
Okay.
So I'm not a Ford person. So I went with a Toyota Tundra.
Okay. That's a nice truck.
Yeah. Some people, you see plow, you don't see it a lot. You probably will see Toyota Tundras in super cold climates where the temperatures like 15 below zero. You may see a few Tundras, but most times you're going to see Chevys and Fords. Chevys, Fords, Dodge, and then Toyota are the trucks you're going to see. So, but I always wanted a Tundra. They're super reliable. They hold their value. So I just went with the Tundra.
Okay.
I ordered my Snowplow. You can order all this stuff. You can order on like the equipment. You can order online. So I ordered my Snowplow. It got delivered through, I think it was FedEx Freight. So they show up with a big box with your Snowplow in it. They drop it off, push it in your garage. You can either pay somebody to put it on for you, or try to figure out how to put it on the truck for yourself by yourself. It's not that hard to do.
Okay, so what else? So you did yourself? Was it heavy?
It is heavy, but you have to I have like these dollies on wheels. So I didn't. You can get super heavyweight, heavy duty plows. I went with a medium duty plow, something I can move around. I knew I had to move it around by myself.
Okay.
To put it on the truck and take it off the truck. So it was something I can lift up. I could lift one side of it up and put that side on the dolly, go to the other side, lift that side up, put it on the dolly, and roll it around my garage.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good quality plow, but it was not the most heavy duty commercial plow, which I didn't need because I was only doing parking lots.
Mm-hmm.
You only really need that super heavy duty stuff when you're plowing streets.
Okay.
So yeah.
So
It's heavy but manageable.
Huh?
It was heavy, but it's manageable.
Okay. So do you have to worry about, like, how they use the salt on the streets, and we get, I would say later that spring or that summer we get those potholes. Do you have to? Is that a part of consideration when you picking the type of salt to use on the parking lot?
Yep. Okay. You have different types of pavements. You have concrete pavement and you have asphalt.
Okay.
That salt will probably destroy a concrete parking lot. Asphalt, you can get away with using salt. It'll mess up the asphalt, but it's a part of the game. There's no way around it really.
Right.
But sometimes with all concrete parking lots, they'll tell you don't use salt. So at that point, you have to go with something like calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is not as hard on concrete as salt is. I could have it backwards. Let me see. It may be backwards. I can't without looking at it. It's one or the other. Either salt is worse on concrete or calcium chloride is on.
Yeah, salt is worse on concrete.
I'm thinking it's salt. So you would have to use calcium chloride, which is more expensive. So when you go into that situation, you have to bid accordingly. So up front, calcium chloride costs about 4 times as much as salt does. I can only use calcium chloride. So when I give you my bid, I'm bidding based on me having to use, calcium chloride. Oh, did I answer the question?
Yeah,
I forgot the question. Yeah.
So what happens if you lose a bid? Someone gets the bid and they don't show up. Do they still contact you, or has it never happened?
Yep, that happens. People get the job, get the contract, and they go out of business for whatever reason. They can have health problems. They can be on drugs. Their equipment can break down. They could change their mind. They could shut their business down. They may call you back up. You may have been the second best price, and they may call you back up and say, "Hey, can you take over?" So yeah, that happens.
So as a business opportunity, do you take the price up, or do you stay at the price that you originally bid it with, not knowing where that weather condition was headed at that moment?
It's up to you how you want to do it. They are in a bind. You can just be fair about it and just do it for the price you said you would do it at, or you can say, okay, you're inconveniencing me because when you said I didn't get this job, I took on other jobs. Now I'm stretched thin. I can do it, but now I need to charge you more. So it just depends on how you want to run your business.
Okay. And for a business like that, landscaping, that you're going to start in the wintertime, just throw out a general number, nothing too personal. What would you suggest that a individual save up or start out their landscaping winterized business with? Truck, plow, salt.
It's all in what you're servicing and how you want to start. You can start out with a $1,500 truck. I see raggedy trucks all the time and those trucks, they look bad, but they're making money. You be making thousands of dollars with a $2,000 truck.
Okay.
So it depends on how much. I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to answer your question. It just depends on the individual person, what they can afford and what they want. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no Ford is better, Dodge is better. It's whatever you like, and whatever that works for you is the right thing to use. There is no one way. That's the beauty of the job. You have the freedom to build it however you want to see it. If you want to run small Toyota Tacoma trucks, the smallest trucks possible, if that's your game, you want to like be super efficient, burn less gas, and run small trucks, You can run, a small. You can plow truck in a Tacoma 4x4. You don't need a big truck if you're just doing like small parking lots. If you're not getting like 10 inches of snow, you can use small trucks. But to answer your question, if I had to put it, I probably wouldn't put a dollar amount on it. I would say find a good, reliable 4x4 truck. That's first.
Okay.
Don't buy that truck. Just find out what that truck is and how much they go for. Then you figure out you have to plows or truck specific. So you have different.
What do you mean when you say plows are truck specific?
So if you're gonna buy a brand new snowplow, it doesn't matter. If it's brand new, it's gonna fit on any 4x4 truck. But if you're buying a used snowplow, the mounts, so the parts to install it on the truck, which are called mounts and wiring harnesses, they work with certain trucks. So you may have a 2008 to 2014 Ford F-150 snow plow mount and wiring harness kit. It'll only work for those years for a Ford if it's a used plow. So you have to figure out, okay, before you buy the truck, if you're going the used plow route, you have to say, okay, this plow for this amount will work with this truck. So you kind of have to time it, if it makes sense. You don't want to go buy a truck and then figure out the plow later. You kind of want to do it all at the same time.
Okay.
If that makes sense. But if you're going with, you can buy a used truck and buy a new plow, and it doesn't matter. You just call up the manufacturer or whoever you're ordering the plow from, and just say, I have a used 2008 Ford F-150. They say, cool, yeah, we have the mount and wiring harness for this plow that fits your trucks. It's no problem if you're buying if you're buying a new plow. But if you're buying a used plow, you kind of want to figure out the truck and the plow at the same time.
What's the resale value like on that equipment? Let's say you like, I'm not getting the contracts that I thought I would get. I got the big boy type of equipment. What's the resale value like on some of that equipment if you're trying to get out the game?
That's the beauty of this also. My wife used to give me shit all the time about, you buying all this shit. I'm like, Teresa, it holds resale value. And I'm making money with it. So my plow, I probably paid $4,500. I got a good deal on the plow I got. It was like a surplus plow. It was brand new, but it was like a holdover plow from the year before. So they just wanted to get rid of it. So I saved maybe $500 off the price of the plow. So I may have paid, but I don't remember the exact amount, but let's say $4,500 for the plow.
Okay.
I used that plow for a year. The plow was like brand new. I barely used it. We barely got snow, but I made good money plowing snow. And I ended up selling that plow on eBay for like $3,500 a year later.
Oh, wow.
I probably paid like $5,000 for that plow once it was all said and done. The guy had a shit-eating grin on his face. He was happy to pay that $35. It was like, I was thinking about that guy today. It was like he was looking at me like I was dumb for selling this so low, which means that I could have got more for it. But I just wanted to get rid of it. It was just taking up space in my garage.
Makes sense.
I was just over the whole thing. So I just wanted to I didn't want to like be trying to get, instead of trying to get $4,000 for it and sit on the plow for 2 or 3 years trying to sell it. But that guy was happy to get that plow because it was like in like new condition.
Yeah.
So I made money with that plow. Only lost, let's say, $1,500 selling it, but I made thousands of dollars. When I say made good money, I'll tell you how much I made. That year, I made about a little more than $14,000.
Oh, wow.
Just in one season.
Was this part-time or was this a full-time activity? Full-time?
No. You're only working when it snows. So whenever it snows, here we don't get a whole lot of snow. So let's say you may plow 10 times for the whole winter. That's it. You work 10 times the whole winter. Now the rest of the winter, you're doing your thing.
Right.
If you have enough money to not work. Some
Right.
people work, other jobs, may work a part-time job, may drive Uber, they may, be doing other stuff. But me, I just did the snow plowing, and it was enough money. I made enough money in the summertime, and I knew I was gonna make some snow plow money, so I could save my money and budget.
Right.
Where I just did the snow plowing. When it snowed, that's when I worked. So let's say we get 90 days of winter time. I
Mhm.
worked 10 days out of those 90, and I made enough money to sustain me, all winter.
So was that plow that you had, was it good enough? Like, let's say if you all would have moved to the East Coast, East Coast region, would it
Yep.
been strong enough to handle that type of snow and that type of weather and stuff?
Yep. I would have
Okay.
worked the shit out of that plow. I would have kept it. Yep. I didn't go like super cheap. I went in the middle. Like, I don't
That's-
want I learned from this. Okay, when you first get in this game, this is how it goes.
Okay.
You start off using residential quality equipment. So we end up going to Home Depot. A
Hmm.
lot of guys start off with push mowers, right?
Hmm.
So they say, okay, I only have 5 yards, so I can just go to Home Depot and spend $400 or $500 to get a push mower. That's what you start off with. Then you find out quickly those mowers break down. They can't handle all that work, that
Hmm.
constant work every day.
Okay.
So you'll make money with those mowers, but they break down. So you'll be spending time fixing them more, replacing them more. Then you move up to commercial equipment.
Hmm.
The commercial equipment, of course, it costs more, but it's more reliable. It's faster, so you can get done with the job quicker. It's more efficient. You can make more money. You can work it all day long. You can just cover more ground with commercial equipment. So you kind of, that's why I started off with the push plow. I already knew the game. So don't hop off in and trying to buy the biggest and best before you know that you can make enough money to cover those expenses.
Okay.
So I
Smart.
started off with the push more, then I worked my way up to the commercial more. Um, that's why I started off with a push snow plow, then a snow blower, then I worked my way up to the plow and the truck. You don't have to do it that way. Some people just jump right in and get a commercial mower or snow plow and a snow truck, and it works out for them. So it's just is no. That's what I'm going back to. Is no one way to do it. Is whatever works for you is the right way, and nobody can tell you that you're wrong about it. If it works for you, that's the way that you would go.
I got a question. So how does it work with the snowplow when you have these residential areas that have these gates and stuff like that, gated communities? Like, is that a contract, or is that, like a HOA? You know what I'm saying? Would you be able to get a contract on those type of communities to do the streets in that area and stuff like that? Are those up
Yep.
for grabs?
Yep, they are. Those Okay, what happens with the HOAs? It can be a gated community or not. I live in a HOA. So what they do is they solicit contracts.
Okay.
So basically what they do is they go online, they see who's working in the area that the community is in. They reach out to all the different contractors, all the landscaping companies or snowplow companies,
Hmm.
and they say, "Hey, we're looking to get these streets plowed and salted all winter long. Send us a contract. Send us a bid, not a contract. Send us a bid for this work." So they solicit bids. The bids come in. They usually take the cheapest bid. So yes, you can get contracts with HOAs.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. Didn't know. Okay.
Your HOA is just, if you live in an HOA or if you live in an apartment complex, 9 times out of 10, the person or company, it could be a person or company, it could be
Mm.
both. It could be a person who has a company, but whoever's servicing your parking lot or your HOA, it's just a person or a company. You know what I'm saying? That bid on that piece of work, and they got the work and they have the equipment and they just service it.
So in that scenario, if you're coming through that gated community, are you giving them the heads up to everybody, park their car in the driveway? I need the
Yep.
street.
You can try to reach out to the HOA and get them to communicate with the residents, but
Okay.
you don't want to talk to anybody. When you're out plowing snow, you don't want anybody approaching you or talking. I'm telling you a good story about that. You
All
don't
right.
want anybody approaching you or talking to you at all. You just want to plow and be left alone and do your job. That's one of the beauties with landscaping.
Okay.
Landscaping work is known to be one of the most relaxing, stress-free lines of business you can get into. If you look it up, you'll see it online. It's because you're by yourself. You're with your own thoughts. People leave you alone, as opposed to other jobs where you're constantly on the phone. You have to deal with people. A lot of times you don't have to deal with that in landscaping. It's just quiet. You can meditate. You just do your work and do your thing. But 9 times out of 10, if somebody is talking to you, or if you're talking to the public when you're plowing snow, it's a problem. They're complaining. You push snow in front of my mailbox. You push snow in front of my driveway. I had a guy. I was plowing. I was dropping salt. I was plowing. It was doing both, plowing and dropping salt. This guy stopped me and told me I hit his car with the salt. He was parked on the street. So I'm coming down the street, just dropping salt behind the truck. I can't see where it's going. I'm just driving down the street, dropping salt on the street, normal. And he complained that I hit his car with the salt. So he shouldn't be complaining. He should park in his driveway.
Right.
It's snow, get off the street.
Right.
But a lot of people, they park on the street. They'll park side by side on the street where a salt truck can't even get down the street. So when that happens, you just have to turn around. You can't do it. You can't do anything. You can't go knock on their door and say, "Hey, can you move the car?" Get shot in the face doing that. So you just have to turn around and just skip it and keep going.
Oh wow! So what are the risks that you face plowing residential and commercial parking lots and streets? Like, are you responsible if you plow a commercial parking lot? Are you responsible if somebody falls?
You are. That's where the liability insurance comes in at. You can get sued.
Wow.
Yeah. On the street first, you have property damage. You can run into somebody's car. You can slide into a car. You can slide into a mailbox. You can plow somebody's mailbox by mistake. Like I said, if that guy wanted to complain, he could call in and complain and say, I dinged his car with the salt. He could be telling the truth or lying. Sometimes cars are parked side by side on the street, and you're trying to ease past these cars. You can knock off their mirror with the snowplow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you can damage mailboxes and trees. Sometimes trees hang over in the street, and you'll come by, it'll knock like the what do you call it? It's not a siren, the strobe light. It'll knock the strobe light off the top of your truck. So you can get your equipment damaged also.
Oh wow.
So yeah, you have to worry about slips and falls, property damage. Somebody can run. I saw a guy with a snowplow truck. I think here Sunday we got snow and salt. So it looked like he ran into, I don't know what he ran into, but he tore his truck up. So yeah, just like regular motorists slide off the road, we can slide off the road. That happens all the time. Snowplow trucks slide off the road. It's dangerous work. It's not all sweet, all money. You have to be careful, and it's dangerous work.
That's what I was about to ask you. Are there jobs that you refuse once you show up on the scene, like a residential area that somebody turned down and is full of ice, and they have hills and stuff like that, and it hasn't, you didn't beat the storm. The storm has already came, and they just need somebody to kind of, I guess, clean up their street, whether you need to plow it or you need to sod it, or there are situations where you're like, no, I'm not doing that. This is too risky and dangerous.
If you work for somebody, 9 times out of 10, you cannot say no if you work for somebody's own company. But the beauty of working for yourself and having your own company, a lot of people don't talk about this. You have the power to say no. And that's a really important thing when you have your own business. Having the power to say no. It's not
say that again, Jared, for the people that's not an entrepreneur that don't know what that feels like. Say that again.
It's having the power. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's power. It feels powerful. It sounds negative, but it really is powerful. And I'll explain. It's the power to say no that is most important. It's what you're seeking. It's not the power to say yes. So when you're working a job, you pretty much have to say yes to anything. If they say go down to the mail room and pick this box up, you kind of have to say yes, even if it's not your job. But when
Exactly.
you have your own company, if somebody says, "Hey, I want to pay you to go down to the mail room and pick this box up," if you don't want to do it and you don't need the money, you can just say no and
Mhm.
go about your business, go do something else. So having the power to say no is very important. So going back to your question, if you show up on a job and somebody called you or sent an email and said, "Hey, this is where I live. I need this done," and you show up and you see it's too dangerous, too sketchy, you can say no. Now,
Mhm.
by saying no, we live in the social media, online internet age. Somebody can leave you a bad review, like on your like Google reviews or Yelp. You can get a bad review, so you have to be courteous to people. You have to be professional
Mhm.
to people. You can't be an asshole to people because it can damage your reputation. So yeah, you can say no if you think you're gonna tear up your equipment, or if you're just not equipped to deal with the situation. Sometimes it's best to say no and
Yeah.
not bite off more than you can chew and get into a bad situation.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a yeah. You bring up an interesting point. You know, it's a lot of people that have never experienced what that feels like. You know, yeah, they've said no when they shouldn't have said no. You
Yeah.
know, but that's not the same, empowering, uplifting type of feeling of, everything is going to be okay. Okay. That's interesting.
hmm
Okay.
I
Do you recommend that landscaping job for young guys, middle-aged guys, retired guys?
a
You
lot of
think?
people a lot I mean to cut you off. A lot of people look down on landscaping, but for a person that wants to own their own business, it is a easy line of business to get into because everybody has a home. There's so many yards and so much work, and the equipment is so cheap and the trucks are so cheap that that's why you see a lot of people doing it. It's just the startup cost is so cheap, is what I'm trying to say. The startup cost is so cheap, and you have a big amount of work out there that you can get. You see a lot of people doing this. So yeah, I do recommend it. Even if you start off doing landscaping just to figure out how to operate a business, just to learn, and maybe you move on to something else. Yeah, I think it's a good business for anybody to get into. Women do it too. You'll see a couple running a landscaping business. Sometimes you see just women running their own landscaping business. So yeah, a lot of people look down on it, but it's a service that a lot of people need. And um, you can get a certain customer base where you're helping people. There are a lot of elderly people
Yeah,
who
that's true.
can't cut their grass.
Right.
So I have a lot of retirees. They retired. They have health problems. They can't get out there in 100-degree weather and cut their grass. So I feel I'm helping them.
Hmm.
I have not widows, but just single older women who
Hmm.
they don't know anything about lawnmowers and lawns, and they it's not their thing. So I'm helping those people. I have a guy who doesn't have the use of his legs. He can't run a lawnmower.
Hmm.
So I'm helping him out. I'm making money. It's a business, but I'm also helping people in the community. So you get a self fulfillment depending on your customers.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point because at the end of the day, those people still want their yards to represent their house. They still want to
Mhm.
have that upkeep. You know what I'm saying? And don't want to be the house that looks horrible. Because their yard they're not able to get out there and cut the grass and rake the grass.
I have a few people like that. I have an older lady where her kids live out of town and she is just hanging on to the house, and her kids, they look out for her, and she has a real big yard, a bunch of trees and stuff, and she just can't. I think her husband probably passed away. She just can't do it anymore. So stuff like that comes up all the time.
Mm. What do you do with the grass?
Um,
Leaves,
Leaves.
leaves,
One
grass. What do you do?
one two things. Grass. I only bag my own grass. So um only collect my own grass. I don't you really, when you have a bunch of yards, you can't, some people do it, but you can't really be collecting people's grass, like bagging their grass every 2 weeks or every week. And some people do it, but I don't do it. It's just too much time, too much expense. So with a good mower, you can mulch the grass. So the
Mm,
blades just chop it up so fine, you don't really see anything.
okay, that's a good
So
point.
I just mulch it up and keep going.
Okay. What about leaves though? Do the
I
same
like
thing with
to,
leaves?
if you have a bunch of leaves, you may have to collect the leaves. I like to just mulch the leaves
Okay.
because collecting the leaves, which means either raking the leaves or bagging the leaves and then taking the leaves to dump the leaves, that's more expense. So there's more money I have to charge the homeowner to get rid of the leaves. I can keep the price down, be more fair and competitive with my price if I can mulch the leaves. But if
Okay.
you have a bunch of leaves in a small area, I may have to bag the leaves and I may have to charge you extra to get rid of the leaves. Or some people just want the leaves collected. They don't want it mulched. Most people don't care. As long as they look outside and the leaves look like they're gone, they don't care if you mulch leaves or collect the leaves. But I
Okay.
like to mulch the leaves. It takes longer. You have to run your equipment longer, but you don't have to pay to dump the leaves. What's happening over the last couple of years with when gas price, last couple of years, I guess it's still happening. Gas prices have been going up.
Mm-hmm.
So these places where you pay to dump your leaves, they have been increasing their prices. It's just an inflation thing. They have to pay their workers more money. They have to pay more for gas. They have to pay more to maintain their equipment or to buy their equipment. So everywhere prices are going up. So if I used to pay, let's say $30 to dump a truckload of leaves 2 or 3 years ago, that cost may be up to $50. So I have to pass that cost on to the homeowner. I can't, I'm not going to pay out of my pocket that extra cost to dump the leaves. I have to charge the homeowner. So it just makes their price go up. So you may bid on a job and thinking you're going to dump the leaves. So you have to charge them, let's say, an extra $70 on top of the work. And it just may be too much. You may lose the job. Whereas if you mulch the leaves, you can take out that $70 cost and make the price more fair and, get the job.
What about going all electric lawnmowers, electric vehicles for like your snow plowing and stuff?
Mhm.
How efficient is that business wise?
Okay. I don't know about the snow plowing side. That's a good question. I've never seen that. It's probably somebody out there with an electric truck
Mm-hmm.
plowing snow. That's a good probably YouTube video. They probably would get a lot of views.
Mm.
Um, Electric vehicles are not reliable in cold weather. So I don't think anybody is looking to run all electric in super cold weather. When it gets super cold, those batteries don't hold a charge like they do when it's warm outside.
Really?
So, yep, you lose range. So, and it makes your truck unreliable. Like if you're plowing snow, you can't stop and go sit at the charger and charge up for an hour. You can do it, but that's time you're not making money.
Right.
So I don't think anybody's rushing to go electric who's plowing snow.
Okay. Good point. Good.
Um, California is banning small engine gas motors real soon. So basically, they're going to make it where you can't even buy gas lawnmowers, is what I'm trying to say. Gas chainsaws, gas trimmers. You won't even be able to buy those in California. Now, you can go outside of California and get, gas equipment. But inside the state of California, they're going to stop selling gas lawnmowers. Everything's going to be electric. Trimmers, weed eaters, all electric. That's what they're pushing in California. So that wave is coming. You can buy that stuff now. You can buy electric commercial mowers, electric lawnmowers, electric trimmers. For me, I don't like it. I like gas because it's just there's no charging your batteries up. It's not like you can run into oops, I forgot to charge my battery. So I have to stop and go charge my battery, or I need 6 extra batteries, driving around with 3, 4 extra batteries to make sure I can do a job. I just like gas, put gas in, start it up and go. So
Do you think the electric equipment, do you think it would save you money in the long run, or it kind of evens out, or the convenience of gas is just, um, it doesn't even matter?
the convenience of gas beats everything.
Okay.
And you can work on your own equipment if you're that type of person. With gas engines, you can work on your own equipment. You can, if an engine goes bad, you can get a new engine, just put a new engine on it yourself. With electric, you have to be more technical to work on that stuff, and it's newer, so it's not proven. You don't know how reliable it's going to be in the future. Like gas lawnmowers, gas weed trimmers have been around for 100 years. So you know it's reliable. You know there's a bunch of people who already know how to work on it and maintain it. So it's just too new and unreliable at this point for me to even consider switching to electric.
Mm.
Like I watch videos, I see people who use it. Some people like it. But now I don't. I would never switch to electric. I just like gas.
Is the lawn care equipment resale value good as well, or?
Yep. It depends on what you have. Okay, on the commercial side, lawn care equipment gets rated by the number of hours you use it for. So let's say a commercial mower is rated to last 2,000 hours. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens is, you just like on your car, you have a speedometer. What do you
Mm-hmm.
call that? Keeps track of the mileage. I can't think of the name of it, but is it speedometer? Is that the name of it?
Okay.
Speedometer is speed.
I thought it was odometer.
Odometer. That's what it is. I couldn't think of the name. It's you got speedometer and odometer. It's the odometer.
Mm.
So a lot of commercial mowers have hour meters, which is basically the odometer. So when you're buying used equipment, you want to know how many hours it has on it. The lower the hours, the more it's worth. Um, and then you just visually look at the equipment. You can look at equipment and see if somebody has not been taken care of. If it's the paint is all chipped up, if it's rusty, you can just see if somebody has not been maintaining their equipment. And all that stuff factors into how much you'll pay for it. But to answer your question, yeah, just depending on how used it is and how well taken care of the piece of equipment it is, dictates your resale value. But for the most part, you can get a big portion of your money back out of the equipment. And at the same time, you have to keep in mind, if I pay 10,000 for a mower, which is common now, mower prices have been going up. But if I
Mm-hmm.
pay 10,000 for a mower and I can sell it for 5 in 2-3 years later, you have to look at how much money you made with that mower.
Yeah.
And it evens out. If you made 50 grand with that mower and it only lost $5,000 in value, that's a good deal.
So can you speak on the tax write-off business side of the equipment, vehicles, plowing,
Hmm.
lawn care? Can you speak on that part of it? Uh,
Yep. That's another advantage. You have a bunch of different advantages when you have a business and you're dealing with equipment and expenses. So depending on and this is not advice, this is just it's not tax advice, it's just
Comment.
what I know about the game.
Yeah.
So um there's an expense part of the game that people play when you run a business. So you can expense basically anything that you buy that you use to make money with your business can be used as a tax write-off for the most part. So
Mhm.
that's your truck. It can be a car.
Mhm.
If you're driving around in your car passing out flyers, that mileage that you're putting on your car to pass out flyers for your business is tax deductible.
Mhm.
Even if you don't put a lawnmower in that car, if you're doing some activity to make money for your business, you can use that mileage on your car to deduct it from your taxes. If you buy a piece of equipment, you can deduct that. If you buy a computer that's used to run your equipment, or a cell phone that's used to run your equipment, not your equipment, run your business, then you
Mhm.
can deduct the cost of that equipment. If it's furniture, if you have a home office and you paint your home office and put a desk and furniture and a computer, and you can use all that stuff to write off uh, part of your taxes.
Okay.
You can also use, like, if you store your equipment in your garage, you can use that space um, as a write off. So yeah, there's a big part of the game that's used to write off um, your taxes. So
Okay.
A lot of times, if you have like a regular job and you're doing landscaping on the side, of course
Mhm.
you owe taxes from your regular paycheck. But
Right.
then when you come in with your business expenses, you can lower your how much you owe in taxes, with your business expenses.
You get to keep more. Okay. Talk
Yep.
about your fear of starting out to be an entrepreneur. What got you over that fear? Did you come from a background like families and family members being successful entrepreneurs? Or were you the first in your family?
I'm gonna tell you a story.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't no fear. Um, let me see. My uncle Peter passed away early in his 20s. He was a mechanic. He was doing his own thing on the side. He was a certified mechanic. So he had his own business. He didn't have a building, but just that side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
He was certified, had the degree, probably on his way to building up to having his own shop, but his life got cut short early. I had an uncle, Tommy, who was into fixing houses. So painting, tuck pointing, anything with the house, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he got sick, and is one thing I was talking to him when he was sick. He was able to still talk and everything, but he knew he was on his way out. He had cancer, throat
Mm-hmm.
cancer. So he didn't want treatment. He was like, I'm gonna ride this until it goes out. When I go out, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know how black people be talking about, I don't want to get cut on,
Yeah.
one of those things. But he said something to me one day. He didn't talk to me. He knew his end was coming. And he didn't talk to me about his kids. He didn't talk to me about things he did in his life. He talked to me about what he didn't do in his life. And what he told me was he wanted to have a business. He wanted to have a building. Now, his whole life he had worked jobs, but he had hustled on the side, fixing up houses,
Mm-hmm.
painting, all kinds of stuff. He can do anything with a house.
Mm-hmm.
But what he really wanted to do was have a more legitimate business. He wanted to have a company name, a company truck. Like you just talked about, he wanted to have business expenses, have a real business. That's what his regret was in life. He didn't say anything about his kids. He didn't say anything about anything else. This is what he talked to me about. So when that happened, a light just went off. I just knew I didn't want that to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think black men in general, because black people, we get the lesser of everything. We get the scraps. We always have to take less and make it work for us. You
Yeah.
know what I'm trying to say?
I know exactly what you're trying to say. Or work harder and still get less.
Yeah. Work twice as hard. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Twice as hard and still may end up with less. That's just how it is for us. So the black man naturally, most or some, wants to have their own property or their own business, their own something. So anyway, when my uncle told me that, I had already been doing the landscape and stuff like on the side, but at that point I just knew I had to make it more legitimate. So I had to get my LLC. I didn't have a business bank account. I was just cash, just pay me cash and I put that money in my personal account.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I set up my LLC. I set up my business bank account. When you're dealing with business also, there's a fear of we have a fear of the IRS. We
Yep.
don't want them to know about the cash that we're making because we have to pay taxes on it. You try to keep it as cash as long as possible. A lot of people do it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people never get a business bank account or LLC. They just make cash the whole time, trying to skirt paying taxes. But when you set up your LLC, a business bank account, you're being watched. When you start taking Square payments and PayPal payments, all that information gets reported to the government, so you have to pay taxes now. When you get these commercial contracts, they pay you by check. So these businesses are paying taxes. So they're reporting to the government, I paid this contractor $15,000. So the government looks at your taxes and they're looking for you to tell them to confirm that you made $15,000. The
Mm-hmm.
business already said they paid you 15, so they already know that you got the 15. They're waiting on you to tell them about the 15. Not so much the 15 that you made. They already know about it. They're waiting on you to tell them about the expenses. so they can figure out how much taxes you owe on that 15.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your question, a previous question, they're waiting for you to list your expenses so they can figure out you and them. They can figure out how much you owe them in taxes. So the more expenses you have, the less you pay in taxes. Just to bring that expense thing full circle.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so my uncle telling me that, I just knew I had to. I didn't want to get to his age, get to the end, and be like, "Damn, I wish I would have did this, did that." So I set up my LLC, business bank account, business credit. I have business credit. I have business credit cards. I'm fully legit. You can look me up. I'm registered with the state. I pay taxes. I file taxes every year. I file taxes in the city. I file federal taxes, state taxes on my business. I pay taxes, all that stuff. Keep track of all my expenses. It's a fully legit business. You can look me up on Google Business. I have reviews. I have Yelp reviews. It's a full business. So anyway, I got way off track. I just knew, basically talking to him, I forgot the original question. I just knew I had to. I didn't want to be in that position.
Okay.
And
So how long did it take you? How long did it take you to come up with your company name to start your LLC? You know what I'm saying? To legitimize everything, to go from that, switch from that cash to say, you know what, I take all forms of payment.
Yep. Okay. It's not that hard, man. I've helped other people set up their businesses and figure out their situation, their tax situation, and LLCs and business bank accounts. Because once you go through it, you just learn it. You may make some mistakes, but so sometimes when I don't like this about people, when you look online, there are like a lot of, look at this fail video. This person tried this and they failed. They tripped. They tried to do a backflip and they didn't land it and they flipped. But when people fail, they are learning. So you shouldn't really laugh at people when they fail because they're learning.
Stop. Repeat that again. Repeat that for the listeners.
I don't like the way we like laugh at people failing. For instance, you see it online all the time. Lady walking down the street and she trips and she falls. Somebody trying to learn a new dance move and they fall. They're trying to do a backflip and they fall, and we just point our finger and go ha 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 ha. But when people are failing, they are learning. It's the learning process. We shouldn't make people feel bad about failing, because all they're doing is that they're trying something new and they're learning as they go. So you're gonna make mistakes along the way, but you have to embrace that. You have to. Sometimes you have to fall down to get back up. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really care about that. I make mistakes all the time, and yeah, I get less as I go further along. I get less and less embarrassed. Like in this game, you'll see people with big mowers, and they'll look down at you because they may have a 60-inch mower, you have a 48-inch mower, and they're like, "Yeah, I got the big mower." Like, yeah, so what? I mean, this works for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? People just look down on other people when they are learning or when they're building up to wherever they want to go or whatever they're trying to do. So yeah, failing or making mistakes is the part of the game. So going back to your question about setting up this business, how long it took, if it's difficult, you can set up your LLC tonight. You can have your business name and your LLC done in 30 minutes. You can be registered with your state with the business name in 30 minutes from right now. It's not hard. It's not expensive. In Missouri, I think it's like $50, $50 or less. You can do it right online. You don't have to go anywhere. You can search to see if somebody already has the name registered. If they don't, you can take their name and it's your name. And you can have your name all set up today. Tomorrow, you can apply for a business bank account. You can have your business bank account set up tomorrow. After you have your business bank account, that same day, you can apply for your first business credit card. You can have this stuff rolling in 2 days. So it's not hard. It's not expensive. It's no reason.
If I heard you correctly, you can set up your entire business legitimized in 1 week.
Less than 1 week. 1 week or less. And I'm not talking about no crazy shortcuts. I'm talking about real legit setup. You can go to your state's business website You can just Google how to start a business in Missouri, how to start a business in, or register a business in Texas, or register a business in Missouri, or how to start an LLC. You have different types of LLCs. It's not even hard. If you're one person, it's just one type of LLC. It's just a single person LLC. If you have partners, you want to set up a partnership LLC. That's not even hard to do. You can figure that out. Figure that out also. It's not expensive. It's probably $50 or less. You can do it online. So you register your business with the state. Your bank wants to see that you are a legitimate business registered with your state before they give you a business bank account. Some banks don't even care. You don't have to register with your state. You can just make up some business name and open a business bank account. Some business banks, don't care. But if you want to do it the right way, I would say register with the state. There's another part I'm missing. Register with the state before you open your business bank account. You want to register with the federal government. So you want to get an EIN number, which is a federal, it's basically like a social security number for your business.
Mm-hmm.
That's free also. That's free. You can do that in a couple minutes. So register with your state, get your federal EIN number, open your business bank account. At that point, you are legitimate. You are a legit business. After that, you want to market, and you probably want to already have some business, some business already set up. You don't want to you probably want to already be doing the job or the service that you're trying to get into before you get to this point. You don't have to. You can go in whatever order you want to go in.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what difference does that make?
Well, before you invest this $50 to register with the state, and let me go back. At that point, when you register with the state and you get your federal EIN number, you have to start filing your taxes every year.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you make $0, you still want to file business taxes. So that's another expense. That's more. If you're paying like somebody to do your taxes, that's more money you have to pay out. So what I'm saying is, you don't want to start making these expenses if you're not sure that you're either committed to this business, or you're not sure if you like the business, or if you're not sure that it's something that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense. I follow what you're saying. You want to be committed.
You want to be committed, but you should not let any of this stuff stop you. If you have zero business and it's on your mind to do it, just go for it. And if it doesn't work out, like we just went back, what we just talked about, if you fail at it, you just learn.
Yeah.
At that point, you'll know how to set up an LLC. You'll know how to get a federal EIN number. Maybe 2-3 years down the line, you'll come back or come up with some other idea. And you already know these basic steps. So yeah, your first one failed. So what? Cost you $50 and cost you 2 days. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
So you'll know all these different steps the next time.
That's a good point. You probably deep on that one, Jay. Got to give you credit on that. The whole hour.
Let me give myself some applause.
Yeah, go ahead. Hopefully your sound effect work.
All right. Yeah. So basically, it sounds like we're wrapping this up. If it's something on your mind and in your heart to do your research on your own first. See if it's even possible to make money where you are doing what you want to do. And if it is, go for it.
Yeah, I second that.
Yep, go for it. Even if it's just something on the side, yeah, just do it.
I second that. We tricked everybody. Everybody thought this was the freestyle. This was the entrepreneur episode 31. Tricked you all.
Yep.
This is Pod D. This is Hughes. That's Jay. We signing off, everybody.
All right. Good pod. Thanks, man.
Sure.
All right.
Peace.
Yep.